Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much to the sponsors who make this channel possible and viable, and it is for you that we continue recording them. Without you, the channel could not survive. So thank you so much for your generosity. Today we will do something different from the usual. I have been talking about books all the time, off and on. I believe most of you, from looking at the sister channel, are aware that over the years, over the decades, I have acquired a fairly decent library. But so far we have been talking only about the books that are directly related to ship modeling, to the actual practice, to ship construction, that sort of things. I, since childhood, have been interested also in naval fiction. And today I propose to discuss some of the books and some of the naval authors and nautical fiction books that are available nowadays. This is by no means an exhaustive coverage of them, especially since many of the more recent authors I buy only on Kindle. I just do not have the space in the house to continue acquiring books, and because usually I end up not liking most of them for one reason or another. So today I will discuss a few books of which I have read more than one. Actually, I have forgotten to include one, but I will mention it in the process. This is in no way either attempt to criticize these books or to recommend them. I will openly say the ones that I do recommend, I will say so. For the rest, entertainment. You can read them if you're desperate for some of them. So, part of the problem is that everybody wants to be a Patrick O'Brian. I think that it is a good starting point to point out that Patrick O'Brian is the king, the grandmaster, the god of nautical fiction. Unparalleled, uncopied, unequaled. He is the only one who managed to transcend from the genre of naval fiction to the level of literature. And of course we all know best the Aubrey Maturin series, but they're not the only nautical novels that he wrote. He wrote two other books in this. I will return to Patrick O'Brian towards the end of the video. Because of his popularity, and because unfortunately he passed away, everybody now is looking for another writer, for something to fill up this desperate need that we have for these books. And quite a few writers have made a career in this. Unfortunately, the overwhelming majority, good 90% of these writers, do not bother to do the research that O'Brian did. Sometimes because it is not easily done, so why bother? They know everything. They have read a couple of secondary source books on the subject, so of course they know. Or alternatively, they also have a small boat that they are sailing on fill-in-the-blanks lake in the middle of fill-in-the-blank state, so they know everything there is to know about sailing. They understand it. They can write about it. And of course they fail. They fail because they have not bothered to study the period. They have not bothered to study the social aspects of the period. They have not bothered to study how sailing ships actually operated. And not once do you see them going to such fundamental books that easily could have covered 3/4 of the information they need in writing these books. First and foremost, if you're writing about the Georgian Navy, specifically the Napoleonic period, and let's face it, 99% of these books deal with the Napoleonic period only, one of the most boring naval periods from my point of view. 99% of all the information that you need is actually within the wooden walls by N.A.M. Roger, the great, probably foremost, or one of 2-3 foremost modern naval historians. The book is available. It's not that expensive. It's about $15. And tells you everything you need to know about the social aspects of the Royal Navy. Do they bother to do this? No, of course not. Why? So, in the range of mildly entertaining books. They are the adventures of Alan Lewrie, mostly easily describable as lurid adventures. Doesn't know much about the period, doesn't know much about naval actions or operation of these ships, but can be quite entertaining. I have to say that most of the books that I have any knowledge of, I have listened to while driving. Let's say that if I'm abandoned on an island, an inhabited island, I'm unlikely to want to be only with this book, but they can be quite entertaining. They are not badly written. He at least writes entertainingly. And that is more than can be said of most of these writers. So, by all means, try it. There are certain naughty aspects of it. God forbid that I should ever be a moralist, but I have not found him to be a huge contributor. Then, of course, there is Dudley Pope. Ah, yes. Dudley Pope and the Ramage series. Again, he didn't write only about the Napoleonic period. He has a four-part series also on buccaneers of the mid-17th century that are, roughly speaking, based on a number of real characters that existed. The Ramage series is probably what he's best known for. Dudley Pope was also a historian. He wrote one of the better biographies of Henry Morgan, the famous buccaneer, and deputy governor of Jamaica, eventually. He was a privateersman, he was not a pirate. Important clarification. How can I describe... Pope lived on a yacht in the Caribbean, and that's where most of the novels were written. This yacht, appropriately enough, was called Ramage. And it is because it was paid for by the Ramage books. They're entertaining. Are they great literature? No. Are they naive? Absolutely. Do they have a little bit of the comic book character in them? Yes, certainly. But they are entertaining. They're good, great good fun. At least they are semi-appropriate, socially appropriate for the period. The naval actions and the rest are mostly, now convincing may be too strong a word, but are not too unbelievable. Though, of course, Ramage outsmarts everybody in sight, and there inevitably is the small element of the world against Ramage. Do I recommend them? Yes. Yes. Enjoyable, readable, pleasant. Not the book that I would want to have with me if I'm left on an island. Another series that I had hoped might provide me with the next O'Brien experience were by Richard Woodman. Richard Woodman is also known for his historical writing. He also has written a wide variety of nautical-themed fiction. Probably the largest in quantity is the Nathaniel Drinkwater series, and this specific book is part of the Nathaniel Drinkwater, but there is one three-part series based on the American Revolutionary War, not very friendly to the American rebels, if I may say so. But he does have some points there. He wrote also one about the 17th century, which I consider to be the weakest of the series. If I have to choose which I like best among his, it probably will be the Drinkwater series. But man, oh man, is he dark. I don't know what was the personal life story of this gentleman, but the books are ranging on the oppressive in darkness. Well read, without mistakes in them, well researched, believable, socially and nautically, certainly believable, but bordering on the dark for me. Have I read them? Yes, I haven't enjoyed them. I can imagine how American readers may not like all of them. In, I think it was the 11th in the series, he speaks of the War of 1812 and quite rightly points out that the odd frigate victory does not make success and victory in war. That the success of a navy is measured by the influence that navy had on the outcome of the war rather than on a few successful or otherwise actions. That he is absolutely right. Though I can see why some American readers may not like what he's saying. Then here comes a group of books. I'm not sure in what order to present them. Perhaps I will start with James L. Nelson's series on the American Revolutionary War. There are 5 books in the series, as far as I'm aware. I'm holding the 3rd one in my knees at the moment. Of course, he is a well-known American author. He began, at a certain point in his career, he was the 3rd officer on the replica HMS Rose, which nowadays is known as HMS Surprise, and was part of the Captain Aubrey film that came out a few years ago. And don't let me start on that one. But returning to this, so you would expect him to know how an 18th century ship was handled. So this part is usually quite readable, quite interesting, quite pleasant. In the first 5 of his books, I don't mean to be offensive, but let's put it tactfully and say that he was heavily influenced by Patrick O'Brian. There are some passages that you can recognize as O'Brianesque. And I mean this as a compliment. As long as he was trying to imitate the style of Patrick O'Brian, his books were great. Very entertaining. Yes, much more naive than O'Brian, no question about it. However, they were readable. They were pleasant. They were believable. The naval actions, the sailing were quite entertaining. I actually enjoyed them. Coming to think about it, I never finished them. But I have read the first 3 of the series, and I think I lost track somewhere in the 4th volume. Coming to think about it, I need to return and finish them after I finish my own book on the archaeological reporting of the wrecks that I have excavated. Anyway, returning to Mr. Nelson's books. So yes, I do actually recommend them, especially to American readership. I'm not sure that they will be that popular across the Atlantic. Needless to say, the bad guys are the British. And in some instances, he at least has the courtesy to recognize the seamanship, the bravery, the competence of the Royal Navy. In other places, he creates nearly caricature characters of evilness and nastiness and incompetence. And the truth of the matter is that very, very, very few truly incompetent people ended up commanding major vessels in the Royal Navy. So take it with a grain of salt, but I do recommend the series. After that, he wrote a number of other books. He wrote a series on Viking period. I have not touched those. I know nothing about them. I will not comment on them. He produced 3 books on the pirate run. And there already you can see that he is not quite as well versed with seamanship in the period of the spritsail topmast, to borrow this expression from R.C. Anderson. I read them, all 3 of them. I'm not sure that I necessarily will reread them ever. I mean, they're up there on the shelves of my bookcase. And I cannot show them because they are on, I have them only on Kindle, and I don't think that they have been printed. There are 2 novels of new series that he has begun that are dealing with buccaneers in the Caribbean in the late 1620s, 1630s period. I finished them. I finished both, but that's because I'm passionate about the 17th century. And if you do not know as much about the 17th century as I do and about ships and sailing in this period, you may even not get too annoyed. But unfortunately there his research has completely disappeared, evaporated. There is none done. He dreams up Spanish galleons with names written on the sterns. Well, they didn't write them on the stern. His Spanish nasty guys have 4 masts on their galleons. Well, in the 1620s no longer did anyone carry 4 masts. The jigger mast was no longer present. They disappeared somewhere around 1612-ish. Not to mention the historical and social aspects that are wrong. So all we know, if he writes a third one, I probably will buy it and read it just because the 17th century and so few people deal with the 17th century. But it is not on par. If I have to pick and choose, his revolutionary saga to me is the best. The earliest of his books are actually the best. Those I do read with pleasure. In fact, I'm even listening to them right now on audio while driving to work and back. So with this, we end up the first group of books that I wanted to discuss. And with this, I wish you a most wonderful rest of your day. Links to these books and the Amazon are going to be down below this video. I'm not telling you to buy them, I'm not telling you not to buy them. Each to his own. Some of them are quite good, some not so good. With this, I bid you a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you ever so much to the sponsors, first and foremost. And then thank you for watching, commenting, liking, disliking, whatever the case may be. I will see you next time when we'll continue the literary discussion. Goodbye.